Hi, welcome to the Cork Mystery Lab. This is one of those labs where I jump around on the paper, so it's real important that you listen to the directions and follow along the best you can if you have to do this at home. So first of all, the handout. Handout looks something like this. It's the front page. There's the rubric and everything. And we're actually going to skip this front page for now. We're going to skip actually the back of the front page for now, and we're going to focus on page 3. Looks like this. And I color coordinated a few box errors, and I'll talk to you about that in just a minute. Okay. So these are where you're going to write your initial observations. Observations 1. Okay. You're going to include a picture over here and a picture over here in the green. You'll notice. I'll come back to that in a minute. So let's go to the setup. It's just really simple. You just need a cup, and I recommend you do this at home if you can. If you can only watch the video, that's I guess the option you have to choose. So you're gonna get a cork. If you don't have a small cork, you cut pieces of a bigger cork off to make them a little smaller. And a cup or a glass, it should be clear. It makes it a little easier to see what's going on. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna drop this cork in the middle of the cup right here. And my question to you is, do you think it's going to float in the middle or float to the sides when I drop it in? So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Wow, that's actually unusual. In science, we always do things more than once, so I'll do it again. There we go. It goes to the side. Do it a few more times so you can see that. Sometimes it takes a minute, but now it's at the side again, a little harder for you to see. If you're very careful, sometimes you can get it to float exactly in the middle, but generally if you do this over and over again, it tends to want to go to the side, especially once you bump it just a little bit. Okay? So in this case, I'm going to move the cork over so you can see it a little better on the camera. It tends to float to the side there. Okay? So what you're going to do is, you'll notice on your paper, on page 3, I have a little section where it says side. Side and side. One is for a drawing, one is for your written observation. So you just pause the video right now or go try this on your own. By the way, you could probably use a small ice cube too. Large ones might not work as well. And if you do it several times, you should notice it usually goes to the side instead of staying in the middle. So write labeled diagram of what you're observing now, labeled diagram, and a written observations of what you're observing here. Now we're going to come back to this section in just a minute. So, but first what we're going to do is we're going to go back to page 1. So if you were in science class, what we did is I said, hey, let's take a bunch of different materials around the room and see if you can figure out how to get this cork to always stay in the middle instead of going to the side. How can we get the cork to stay in the middle? And what we did is I gave kids all sorts of things that they could use. So let me just give you a few ideas. Paper clips, rubber bands, little pieces of wood, or like depressants you'd use under your tongue, or small pieces of wood, toothpicks, string, tape. I also gave some baking powder and vinegar, like fizz tablets, like Alka-Seltzer type tablets. Oil, like cooking oil, stuff like that. And I said, hey, find as many ways as possible to get this cork to float in the middle. And if you're at home and you have an opportunity to do that, that's the front page of the handout. You write down what you try here, your observations of what you tried, a picture of what the result was, diagram with some labels, and then did it float in the middle or it didn't float in the middle, the results over here. And you'll notice you have 2 chances to try that on the front. If you turn the paper over the back, you get some additional chances. If you're doing this at home and you were absent, I would say coming up with maybe up to 3 or 4 different things to try would be a great idea. Okay. Now, once you've done that, you should pause the video and go do that. If you watch anything past this, you're going to see some interesting solutions. Okay. So pause the video and do that. Welcome back after doing that at home. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you my solution. I'd be super impressed if you came up with this without me, by the way. And you're going to turn back to page 3 to record my solution. Okay? And it turns out that all you really need to solve it is the stuff that you see in front of me right now. Some water, a cork, and the cup. Okay? And if you want to try to solve this without me, you could pause the video again. Otherwise, I'll show you the solution. Notice, even if I push it to the cup now, it goes back towards the middle. Okay? So now you're going to either try that on your own at home, or you can use my video. You're going to draw a new picture of it floating in the middle, and what a diagram of that, and then your written observations of that here. Okay? When you're done with that, you're going to tell me why you think it does this. Okay? Now, I'm going to narrow you in on some very specific observations. And this is where we have observations too. So I'm hoping that you can actually make some better observations when I point out a few things to you. And if we make better observations, we might find that the reason why we think something happens, our inference, will change. And that's what I'm hoping will happen. So since we have the cup already full and it's floating in the middle, I'm going to start right here on observation number 2. And I'm also going to start right here. So the first thing I'd like you to notice is that if you look at the cup really carefully, if you fill all the way full and you look at the cup very carefully, you will notice that the water is curved. And I'll draw a quick picture on my little diagram here for you. The water actually curves up. The best thing you could do is do this at home so you could see it. Okay? And you'll notice the cork floats somewhere towards the center. Okay? A little harder to see. Oh, and once you've got the diagram, you could label it, focus on the water here for your diagram. Over here you would write what the water looks like and where the cork is in the water. Okay? Now, I'm going to dump some water out now. And this is when the cork floats to the side. This is a little harder to see, but if you get at eye level, and you're not going to be able to see it very well on the camera here, but if you get at eye level, looking straight on here, you'll actually see the water is now bending the other direction. It's actually higher at the sides than it is in the middle of the water. So if I drew a quick picture of that for you so you get an idea what I'm talking about. You'll notice the water's actually pulled up the sides of the cups just a little bit, and the cork now stays in the middle area of that. And here you do a diagram of that, and you'd write your written observations of that over here. Okay? Now I'm hoping you notice that the cork and the water have some relationship to each other. If you look at the two pictures, where's the cork sitting compared to the water? Okay? And I just totally messed that up. Sorry, the cork's not in the middle, the cork's on the side. Please forgive me, the cork's on the side, one of the two sides. So now you should notice a relationship between the cork, where it's sitting, and the water height. And over here, the cork and the water height. So I'm guessing that your initial inference or reason why you thought it might be changing a little bit. So what you do is on the back of the handout, page 4, you're going to give me your new inference. And notice, if you want to get mastery level on an exam, you need to include some key words in your explanation as to why this happens. That means you'll probably have to look those words up on the internet or somewhere else and use them in your explanation. So you need to know what those words mean in order to do that. So I hope this video helped you. If you have any questions, let me know. Thank you very much.